Americans constantly obsess over the latest diet trends and skinny fads, yet we're one of the unhealthiest nations on the planet. According to the U.S. Surgeon General, obesity plagues more than 30% of American citizens, killing over 300,000 people every year. Heart disease, cancer, and diabetes are also on the rise, with one of the main culprits of this disturbing trend being sugar. Almost 20% of our daily caloric intake comes from refined white sugar. That works out to just about 150 pounds of sugar per person per year. Consumed in small amounts, sugar actually helps your metabolism and supplies a quick boost of energy. In excess, sugar adds nothing but empty calories to your body. Many people have recognized this and now opt for sugar-free alternatives, allowing for the rise of the artificial sugar industry. The most prevalent artificial sugar in our food supply today is called aspartame, which is also recognized as NutraSweet or equal. Aspartame has made its way into more than 6,000 products, including almost all diet sodas, chewing gum, frozen desserts, yogurt, and even vitamins and cough drops. 200 times sweeter than sugar, aspartame is a combination of 2 amino acids, aspartic acid and phenylalanine. Even though the safety of aspartame has been affirmed by the Food and Drug Administration 26 times over the past 23 years, the FDA receives more complaints about adverse reactions to aspartame than any other food ingredient in the agency's history. In fact, at least 30% of the U.S. population is sensitive to even moderate doses of aspartame and may suffer several symptoms. Immediate reactions include severe headaches, dizziness, attention difficulties, memory loss, throat swelling, and seizures. Long-term effects include blood sugar problems, insomnia, diabetes, ovarian cancer, and brain tumors. One study done at King's College in England found that the more NutraSweet is consumed, the more likely it is for tumors to develop. And there's still more.
He is a neuroscientist at Washington University School of Medicine. His new study analyzes U.S. brain cancer data in the years before and since aspartame's approval.
There's been a striking increase in the incidence of malignant brain tumors.
And Olney says the same types of aggressive brain tumors that showed up in the aspartame animal studies over 20 years ago are now increasing in the American human population.
With all the hazards associated with aspartame, how did the sweetener get approved in the first place?
Aspartame was discovered in the mid-60s at G.D. Searle, the Chicago drug company. Searle was bought by Monsanto and then was spun off to form the NutraSweet Kelco company. The FDA originally approved aspartame back in 1974, but FDA investigators soon found serious problems in some of the studies that Searle had submitted to the FDA, and so a task force was organized to investigate many of Searle's tests.
There were some very serious deficiencies in the conduct of some of those experiments.
Dr. Eric Millstone is a food safety expert at the University of Sussex in England. He's been a critic of Britain's approval of the sweetener for over a decade. He says that Searle's tests in the early 70s were so flawed, there is simply no way to be sure that aspartame is safe.
Well, for example, a rat died during the course of an experiment, but apparently that rat was not then carefully dissected to see whether there was any evidence that the compound might have killed the rat, and there were many other deficiencies in the conduct of these tests. Tumors appeared in some of the animals and they were simply cut out and discarded, not reported. There were occasions when antibiotics were administered, but that was not reported.
Because the FDA task force found so many discrepancies in Searle's data, in late '75, the agency put the approval on hold before aspartame could hit the market. The FDA commissioner back then called the test at best sloppy and said their investigation revealed a pattern of conduct which compromises the scientific integrity of the studies.
The flurry of debate about Searle's tests prompted the FDA to establish a public board of inquiry comprised of independent scientists to rule on safety issues surrounding aspartame. In 1980, the public board of inquiry concluded that aspartame should not be approved, pending further investigation of brain tumors in animals. The following year, Ronald Reagan became president of the United States. His transitional team, which included Donald Rumsfeld, CEO of Searle, then hand-picked Dr. Arthur Hull Hayes, Jr. to be the new FDA commissioner. In one of his first official acts, the new FDA commissioner overruled the Public Board of Inquiry's recommendations and authorized aspartame in dry foods and carbonated beverages. In fact, the National Soft Drink Association urged the FDA to delay the approval of aspartame in carbonated beverages because of its instability in liquid form. When liquid aspartame reaches temperatures above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, it breaks down known toxins, and side effects become worsened. We found a clip from CBN News that explains more.
So why am I pouring a Diet Cola into a hot pan? Well, the heat simulates what happens in your body when you consume aspartame, breaking it down into toxic formaldehyde. Food scientist Woodrow Monty explains that the aspartame molecule contains a precursor to formaldehyde, methyl alcohol.
In the circulation of the brain and the veins and arteries of the brain, there's an enzyme that can convert methyl alcohol to formaldehyde, and in the human breast.
Monty says that means an increased risk of breast cancer. This chart shows how breast cancer has risen along with the increased use of aspartame. That conversion into formaldehyde could also mean multiple sclerosis. With MS, the body attacks the nervous system and scars the brain. Plus, this Chinese study found that even extremely low doses of formaldehyde damage the brain's memory proteins.
It can start changing its structure and the way it folds, and start producing strange misformations and malformations.
Arthur Hull, the FDA commissioner who pushed through aspartame, later left the FDA under allegations of impropriety and took a position with Burstyn Marsteller, the chief public relations firm for both Monsanto and G.D. Searle, revealing his apparent conflicts of interest with aspartame's manufacturer. The first carbonated beverages containing aspartame hit the market in 1983, and for the last 25 years, aspartame has made its way into thousands of food and beverage products. Even in the face of its sordid past, many weight-conscious Americans will still likely opt for products containing aspartame because it's marketed as a weight loss aid. Ironically, many studies have shown that it actually increases appetite and sugar intake because the empty sweetness from artificial sugars actually makes your body expect food. And when this food doesn't arrive, you actually get hungrier. Many people recently have jumped on the sucralose or Splenda bandwagon, but this may not be the best substitute.
The FDA says the agency looked at 110 sucralose studies in humans and animals. They concluded many of the studies were designed to identify possible toxic effects, including carcinogenic, reproductive, and neurological effects. No such effects were found. Hull disagrees about what those studies found.
Cancer in the laboratory mice, had hind leg paralysis. The male rats had infertility issues. The female rats had aborted fetuses and problems during pregnancy.
Her doubts about Splenda focus on the fact that it's manufactured from sugar by adding 3 chlorine atoms.
How much chlorine, how much do you consume every day? Do you consume your swimming pool? Do you drink that water when you swim?
Hull says the more you use, the more you lose, with potential asthma and breathing difficulties, sinus issues, even bladder and kidney problems. Again, the government says no problem. The body can't even digest Splenda. Hull disagrees.
They're even saying in some Japanese studies it can digest up to 27%. So what you're looking at is the body really is going to break this down into chlorine.
You're probably wondering what your options are once you remove aspartame, sucralose, and refined white sugar from your diet. The good news is that there are many other options that are healthier and natural. Honey and agave are 2 natural sweeteners that can be found almost anywhere. But if you're looking to cut calories, then stevia is the way to go. Stevia, a sweet herb, has been used as a natural sweetener in South America for the past 1,500 years. It's non-caloric and is 25 times sweeter than sugar. Tests have shown that stevia intake actually helps regulate blood sugar, inhibits tooth decay, aids mental alertness, improves digestion, and users of stevia even report less desires to smoke tobacco or ingest alcohol. Today, stevia is finally on the market after a decade-long FDA ban due to NutraSweet's heavy lobbying influence. You can buy stevia as a dietary supplement at any Henry's or Whole Foods.